Most retirement plans are built to fail. And they don't mean accidentally fail. I mean, they're designed to keep you dependent. I know this sounds crazy, but after flying jets for the Navy and then working alongside business colleagues with millions of dollars in their portfolios, I saw the same old story on repeat. People who did everything right were still stressed about their bills. Let me show you why that happens and how you can fix it. My buddy Frank retired with $1.5 million. Everyone congratulated him. But when we grabbed lunch a few months later, he wasn't celebrating, he was sweating over whether he could cover his groceries. And that's when it hit me. He didn't have a retirement plan, he had a portfolio. And portfolios, they don't pay the bills, income does. Your 401k won't pay your bills in retirement, and here's why. If you're a high-earning professional, you've probably done all of the responsible things. But deep down, you know something is just off. You don't trust the market for steady income, you're tired of volatility and market swings, and you don't want to be a landlord, and you're afraid about living your money. If that feels familiar, you're not crazy, you're just playing the wrong game. Growth is not the same as income. Growth won't pay your bills, income will. And yet, the entire financial world trains you to chase one number, your portfolio balance. The bigger, the better. 2 million, 3 million, say 5 million. But ask yourself, does your mortgage company, your grocery store, or the airline you're booking your ticket with accept your Vanguard account statement as payment? No. They want cash flow. When my wife and I had our first baby, I thought seeing a big number in our accounts would calm me down. But honestly, it didn't, because the number could vanish with one market swing. What gave me peace of mind was knowing that our dividends and our rental income covered the bills every month. That's when I realized security isn't about the number, it's about flow. The illusion of a safety in net worth. I talk to people all the time with net worths of 3 million, 5 million, sometimes more. On paper, they look wealthy, but ask them about their monthly income, how much cash is coming in without them working, and suddenly their confidence drops. They'll say, well, I have to sell some stocks or I can pull from my 401k, but that's not income. That's liquidation. That's selling things. It's like having a giant pile of firewood. I love this analogy, but no fireplace. You could burn it to stay warm, but every log you throw on the fire is one less you'll ever have again. Eventually that pile runs out. And that creates this constant low-level anxiety. Do I have enough logs? How fast can I burn them? Northwestern Mutual in 2022 did a study. 45% of retirees with over $1 million still fear outliving their retirement. Fidelity did a report. And even among high net worth households, 37% worry that they'll need to reduce their lifestyle spending because of market volatility. It's not just people with small savings who feel this. It's everyone who relies on growth and just the stock market. One client of mine that I had worked with had about 850K, less than many of his peers. But he structured it into a bond ladder, dividend stocks, and a couple small real estate deals. His monthly income was $5,800. And he wasn't worried about market swings because his bills were paid. He told me that I had finally slept at night. Meanwhile, his buddy with a $2.5 million portfolio, all focused on growth, was panicking every time CNBC ran a market crash headline. Growth is the accumulation phase. That's when you grow the nest egg. Think in your 20s, 30s, maybe even early 40s, or when you have a long time horizon. It's great for building wealth. Income, that's the distribution phase. That's maybe late 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s, or when you're 10 to 5 years out from using it. It's critical for stability. The problem is advisors keep people in growth-only modes for way too long because they make more money that way. It's like flying a fighter jet. When you're training, you care about performance, right? The speed, Mach 1, maneuvering, and that's growth. But when you're flying home from a mission, you don't care about any of that. The only thing that you care about is fuel, enough to get you and your crew home safe. Retirement's the same. Growth got you airborne. Income brings you back home. The 4% rule is dead, and here's what's replacing it. The 4% rule came from what's called the Trinity study in the 1990s. Advisors loved it because it gave a simple answer. Take 4% each year, and the odds are you won't run out. And for a while, it worked. Back then, bond yields were around 6%. And if you had $1 million, $60K in a safe bond interest was basically guaranteed. That's before touching your stocks. But fast forward, for the last decade, bond yields have hovered around 1 to maybe 3%. Inflation in recent years has been anywhere from 3 to 8, not including those crazy COVID times. Healthcare costs grow even faster. And here's the kicker. People are living longer, which is great, but retiring at 65 and living to 75 is one thing. Retiring at 65 and living to 95 is a completely different game. So let's look at the numbers. Take that same $2 million portfolio. 4% equals $80K per year. Sounds fine, right? But layer in inflation. Say that's 3 to 4% annually. So $80K now feels like $60K within a decade. Healthcare costs doubling every 20 years. A market downturn cutting portfolios by 30 to 40%. Suddenly, you're not living on $80K anymore. You're living on $40K. And that fear sets in. How long until I run out? Another colleague of mine had $1.2 million, but structured it a little differently. Half was in a bond ladder that paid out like a paycheck. Part was in dividend stocks, and then he had 2 small passive real estate syndications. His actual monthly income was around $6,500, and it had adjusted with inflation. He wasn't worried about whether 4% was too much or too little. He had a paycheck. The 4% rule is like flying across the Atlantic with just enough fuel to land, assuming no headwinds, no turbulence, and no delays. What happens when there's a storm? You don't make it. And in retirement, storms are guaranteed. Instead of burning furniture to stay warm, you need investments that produce income month after month, year after year. And that's how you stop guessing and start living. One market crash can erase decades of savings. And if it hits early in your retirement, you may never recover. In 2008, I watched a friend lose half of their portfolio in 6 months. Some never bounced back. Why? Because they were in their 3 to 5 years out from their actual retirement. They didn't have a decade left to ride out of the recovery. When my wife and I bought one of our first rentals, the market dropped soon after. Property values fell, but the rent checks, those kept coming in. And that's when I realized growth portfolios, those collapse under pressure. But income streams, built to last. Consistency is the key here. This isn't just about market losses. It's about the sequence of return risk. That's just a fancy way of saying the order of the returns matter more than the average. If you lose 30% early in your retirement while withdrawing money, you might never recover. 2 retirees with the same average return can end up with totally different outcomes depending on when the loss hits. Imagine you retire with $1 million. You take $40K in year 1, then the market drops 30%. Now you're at $660K. To get back to $1 million, you need a 50% gain, but you're still withdrawing. That's a hole you may never climb out of. I had 2 friends who retired in 2007. One had everything in stock-heavy portfolios. The other had structured income. By 2009, the first was back to work consulting because he panicked and sold low. The second, still cashing his bond coupons and rent checks every single month. One crashed, 2 totally different outcomes. Imagine working 40 years, following all of the rules, and then losing decades of progress in just a few months. That's what so many experienced in 2008 and may never recover emotionally, even if their portfolios did on paper. It's like building a house of cards for 30 years, board by board, stick by stick. One sneeze, it's gone. But build on bricks, steady income streams, and the storm can shake the house, but it doesn't collapse. Crashes will always come. The question isn't if, it's when. And if your retirement plan is based on growth only, you're flying blind. But if your plan is built on steady, layered income, bonds, dividends, real estate, you can ride through turbulence without panic. Your retirement doesn't just need investment. It needs a paycheck system, and that's what the income ladder gives you. Instead of guessing how much you can safely withdraw, you build structure, predictable cash flow, just like your working paycheck. Only this one doesn't depend on an employer. It depends on your assets, stacked like rungs on a ladder. When I first built my ladder, I didn't think of it as finances. I thought of it as life. One stock's dividends covered my son's daycare. A bond maturity covered my family's insurance premiums. A real estate syndication, well, that was earmarked for my daughter's future tuition. Suddenly, money wasn't just numbers, it was mapped out to our lifestyle. And that's when I finally felt free. Think about a ladder. If one rung breaks, the ladder doesn't collapse. You've still got other steps holding you. Retirement should feel the same. If one asset class hits turbulence, your other income rungs keep you steady. Let's take a look. The base, bond and treasuries, low risk, essential expenses. Cover must-pay items, mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance. Bond ladders mature every year, spitting out predictable cash. Let's look at an example. 500K bond ladder at 4% average yield is around 20K a year of predictable income. This is your landing gear. You don't fly without it. The middle, dividend stocks and REITs, income plus some inflation protection. This covers lifestyle choices like vacations, dining out, hobbies. Dividends historically grow their payouts 5 to 10% annually, matching or beating inflation. REITs distribute 90% of income by law. Let's look at an example. 400K in dividend stocks at a 3% yield is 12K a year, growing over time. This is your cruise control, and it keeps the journey comfortable. The top real estate syndications are growth and legacy focused. It covers longer term goals. Think college funds, legacy, and generational wealth. Real estate syndications target 6 to 10% cash on cash returns, plus equity upside sometimes. Let's look at an example. 300K in a diversified syndication gets around 18 to 30K a year in passive cash flow, plus some appreciation. This is your afterburner, and it adds power and growth to your portfolio. I had two friends, both with $1.5 million saved up. One kept it all in a mutual fund and hoped the 4% rule would work. The other built a ladder, 500K bonds, 500K dividends, 500K real estate. One panicked during a market crash, and the other calm as can be. Bills paid, his lifestyle intact, future is funded for him. It's paycheck engineering. Think of each rung funding a line item on your life. Rung 1, mortgage and groceries. Rung 2, travel and leisure. Rung 3, legacy and big goals. When you connect income to life this way, you stop wondering, do I have enough? And start asking, what do I want this to fund? Dividend stocks have been within the S&P 500 for over 30 years with low volatility. Real estate syndication historically have delivered 12 to 15% annualized returns when held for the long term. Bond ladders create guaranteed maturities, smoothing out market risks. This isn't a theory. These are proven vehicles that give people back their time and their peace of mind. Retirement isn't about a number. It's about freedom, and income buys you that freedom. So here's the recap. Growth does not equal income. The 4% rule, it's outdated. The market crashes and it will destroy growth-only plans. The solution is to build your own income ladder. If you want a step-by-step system, my income ladder strategy course walks you through it. And if you want passive real estate, join my income property club, where every Wednesday I'll send out a vetted income producing property so that you can invest without ever having to fix a toilet. Because retirement isn't about beating the market. It's about peace of mind, freedom, and presence with the people you love.